Hi everyone, I'm really excited today to talk to you about the portrait of the student at Flint School. The faculty and administration worked together several years ago to develop these guiding principles around our student experience, both for academics and co-curricular and extracurricular activities. And we were really intentional about this being a portrait of a student and not a portrait of a graduate, because we want students in every single year, if they're first graders, if they're sixth graders, if they're eighth graders, if they're 12th graders, to experience classrooms and on the field and in the theater and in the innovation labs, these approaches and guiding anchors for our program. So it was really intentional, the idea that it's a portrait of a student at Flint Hill, not just a portrait of the graduate. Today I'm going to tell you three stories, one from lower school, one from our middle school, and one from our upper school, just so you can see the trajectory of this portrait of the student work in our program. I'm going to start with a story about fourth grade. Every year our fourth grade students study Virginia history, and this is anchored in a lot of colonial Virginia, and it goes all the way up to the 20th century. And you know, part of the portrait of the student is to be self-directed learners and problem solvers and effective communicators. And so as I've watched the students in fourth grade study Virginia history, it's very much who the students are individually and a collective, and how they study, what they study about Virginia history, and what their experience is and what they produce to show what they're learning or the knowledge they're constructing. In another year, we had a group of students who were just really interested in building things, and so their study of Virginia history took on the flavor of actually building a model of colonial Williamsburg, and it was like a 10 by 10 model. And they brought their parents and their students in, so it really kind of focused on a space like this, like our innovation lab, where students are learning a lot of things about engineering. So that self-directed is an important part of all of our programs, because we want students to be bringing parts of themselves and constructing their knowledge, because that is the kind of knowledge that really gets into your brain and stays there. That deep knowledge is often connected with the affective. That's an important part of our program, is understanding how our brains work and how that impacts learning. So as we kind of travel through the years for students in our middle school, a really interesting and intentional design for, again, working with students around developing authentic, effective communication, and looking at problem solving, self-directed learning, and ethical citizenship, and their leadership potential, is how our middle school schedule allows for so much choice. We allow students to have a wide range of choices. This is really important in these middle school years, to allow students to explore, to figure out their strengths, maybe what they're not strong in yet, and especially these programs allow for a high degree of collaboration. So electives like makers and competition robotics. We have multiple levels of computer science for our middle school program. We also have electives that focus on broadcast and communication and digital storytelling. So these are all areas where we really want our middle school students to be able to explore who they are or who they think they want to be, and try things out. Now the upper school story takes us a little bit more towards a classical vein, but is a really great capstone of our program in how students who've experienced this can bring it all together and create pretty amazing opportunities for themselves and other students. So our Latin Collegiate Seminar last year, which is our highest level Latin and Classics program with our students, that's a program that in the last few years we said, wow, what if students and teachers together co-created the syllabus? Last year the students came and said, we think that Flint Hill students need more access to Latin poetry. And we would like to spend our whole year taking poems that are not often read by students and basically creating a Latin textbook of these poems. So doing the vocabulary deconstruction, working on the annotations that go along, creating the translation and grammar exercises to support it. And these students created a Latin textbook that has poetry as its main core. And this is a living document that the students think that in future years other classes might add to, and it's allowed them to test out their product. So bringing that innovative thinking even to a classics poetry textbook and getting the user feedback and then bringing it back and making the tweaks and then using that from year to year, and hopefully future classes will contribute to that document as well. So this is just to wrap up our portrait of the student. The anchors for our portrait of the student are self-directed learning, effective communication, problem solving, ethical citizenship, and leadership. Thank you.